if we get rid of the potential blockers for the fearsome unit, this means they have to have removal for the fearsome unit. Playing against Swain and Twisted Fate. Well, well, well. It's almost like that's the only deck I play against anymore. I guess we'll throw this back just because we have a fair number of 2s already. We'll keep the rest. And we find more 2s. That's kind of nice though. And this is really a 4-drop because we likely play that. The sac. Wow, they're just gonna pop it. Interesting. So that means they likely have some sort of removal for the big guy. Oh, I miss old Escaped Abomination, the 4/4 body. So if you haven't figured it out by now, we're playing Mistwraiths today. I think we just take this actually. I'm expecting flock, but no flock. All right. No Waka Flocka. Well, I guess we're gonna go with Kalista here because our alternative is not great the way that it once was. I mean, obviously Blighted Caretaker is fabulous. Yeah.
All that glitters.
But alas, that's not the case there. Let's actually see what we can find here. I guess we're grabbing a Wraithcaller. Wraithcaller is kind of like the best thing you can grab with those, but we're a little sad to see 2 of them go that route. And we do pick up another one though, so that's fun. Oh, again, I fully expect them to have something for the Kalista, but I think here perhaps playing for the Kalista's correct. Maybe not. Maybe we just take the damage. I talked myself out of it. I was considering sacrificing this here and then using like the ephemeral Wraithcaller because then that would trigger Kalista at the end of the turn, but there's just too many opportunities for them to disrupt that game plan, and I'd much rather, I think, just put more Wraiths on the board to see what we can do in response. And of course that's going to hit my Kalista, right? Because them's the breaks. All right, we're gonna be a little bit greedy here. Go with another Wraithcaller before we go with our Risen Mists into attack. Still have a lot of mana though, and we've not really done any damage to them. We are not pressuring them well here at all. As weird as it sounds, them getting rid of our keeper was an issue. All right, that's also very problematic. Because something like a Make It Rain has the potential to really clean up here. But we're gonna see what we can do. Again, they've got a lot of mana available, and the keg is not great. All right, that could have went worse for us. I don't necessarily hate that. This is a good pickup for us as well as a nice potential finisher. All right, we're gonna do this Butcher A into a Doom Beast, mostly because I want the health, because I don't know what they got planned here. All right, so we could harrowing here for 3 extra bodies that they would have to defend. The problem is you really like harrowing when you've kind of got an empty board, not just for max value in terms of what harrowing summons, but if it pulls wraith callers, and it should, you get to keep those Mistwraiths. But also, if I'm being honest here, slow playing this a bit and starting with this to potentially bait something out from them. We get punished really hard by warning shot into Rex. All right, so now we just get to see if they have removal. So like the cheeky bit here is that as much as we want to get rid of these high priority targets, if we get rid of the potential blockers for the fearsome unit, this means they have to have removal for the fearsome unit. And it looks like they don't, so that's gonna be game 1. And we'll go play another game and then I'll go over the list like I always do. Sejuani in Gangplank. Now, it's not Swain Twisted Fate, which I feel like that's just all I've been playing against lately. But it is still Bilgewater. I'm actually shocked at the amount of Bilgewater I've been seeing. Just because it didn't get any support. And we're fine with this. We don't really have true 1-drops in this list, so trying to find them early isn't necessarily a priority, but like Wraithcaller is a really key card, Kalista's a key card, so we'll hold on to them and I guess kind of slow play it a bit. I was fighting a sneeze just now. Ooh. All right. Hired gun. We are actually happy to see that come down before we've played any units, and certainly before we've played our Kalista. No, they will likely just attack and call our bluff. They know we're not going to block that. We developed this over this largely because this doesn't have 3 attack, and we're just setting up fearsome plays. Wow, we also played it because it helps with the Mistwraith ramping, and it turns out we from turn 4 on we are playing some Mistwraiths. Now it'll be my luck. There's only 3 entire like Demacian cards in this list, so it'll be my luck that these will start whiffing. But we'll wait and see. Interesting. They really wanted to deal damage to me. work on that, or they wanted the plunder. They wanted the plunder. I respect it. So this is a monkey deck. So this is what I meant earlier when I said we don't have true one drops, because while you can play this on one, and there has been times where I have done it, it's not the norm. That's more of a rarity. All right, where we start calling the mists. We're doing a really good job of making sure they get damage in to keep pace with those. Let's call some mists. And hope they don't have some sort of big board wipe, because we don't have our anti-board wipe tech available at the moment. Another parlay. Fair enough. I respect it. Yeah, we'll do it now then. We give the 1 mana. We don't have any of our spells we're really saving for, and it's...
I'll make corpses of them.
Even more pressure. Temptation to actually have attacked with this, and I probably should have. Because Gangplank's gonna have to block something here realistically, right? No? They're gonna just go to 2, huh? I mean, I assume that Gangplank is gonna level, right? And then they're gonna, what, attack and wipe my board?
I'm not greedy. My
Yep.
friends, though.
So, warning shot, let's Gangplank level.
Hey there. Don't mind the knife.
And we're looking at what? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. We can survive that at the moment. So we pass. I think we're still fine here. So here's the warning shot.
You die slow. I am
Does
reborn
2.
of salt and brine.
Again, Gangplank levels. So he's gonna deal 1 to everything when he attacks. It's like the Anivia effect.
Seize the opportunity.
Blow him to the depths.
But again, it's just 1 to all enemies. But you can still assign blockers here, right? So, I mean, it's gonna die and then the overwhelm makes it do nothing anyway, but can't stop this. But if you do this, again, we're gonna take 10 total, so we end up down at 4. And Kalista should be leveled. And we get our 4/3 back, and then we follow this up with another Wraith Caller. Then we go with the open attack next turn and just pray they don't have 4 direct damage. That's really what it comes down to.
Explosives.
Now again, they've got the keg. Oh, I could be super greedy and go for this Doom Beast win. But we're gonna go with the open attack first. This would have been a great time to have our burst speed make a Mistwraith, even if it wouldn't make it, because then we would have just won. But we get the win anyway. So let's go take a look at the list. So this is Mistwraiths, and Mistwraiths are not really a new deck or a new concept. However, they got some help in the form of Stalking Shadows and in the form of Risen Mists recently. And as a result, I actually think that they're pretty powerful. They're really well positioned. One of the things that I have really enjoyed is this inclusion, Ranger's Resolve. Full credit to this goes to Jeff Hoogland. He posted his Mistwraith list on Twitter, and I had seen somebody just ask like, hey, what's the Rangers Resolve for? And the moment I saw it, I knew it was such a fantastic tech choice, because this means, so the big issue with Mistwraith, right, is it has 2 health. So Rangers Resolve is insane against Avalanche. When you're playing against those Freljord controlists, specifically Aurelion Sol late game ones, they kind of live and die by that Avalanche. And so unless they have multiple Avalanches, you probably just win if you hit your Rangers Resolve. Now I'm currently running 2, and I've really been considering bumping this up to 3, as weird as that sounds, just because outside of Aurelion Sol, which is really popular, I've been running into a ton of Swain and Twisted Fate lists, and Rangers Resolve is beautiful in that matchup as well. Can many times save you a unit or 2, and that's relevant. So I want to do it. The only reason I haven't made the move is because it's very clunky in multiples in your hand, but it's beautiful when it works. So 1 Butcher, this is just backup for activating your Cursed Keeper. It's also it's a play that your opponent can't interrupt that can potentially level your Kalista. It fills a similar role to Blighted Caretaker, but this list, unlike other Shadow Isles lists, doesn't necessarily have as much fodder that you actually want to eat, and so the Butcher is currently a 1 of. 2 Rangers Resolve. Stygian Onlooker, this is a 1-drop that's not really a 1-drop, because we don't have a lot of 0 cost, I mean this doesn't count, activations, and so you can play this on 1. For the most part though, you're going to be playing this as a 4/1 fearsome to help you push for lethal. This is almost like burn in many instances, where if you've got 1 or 2 of these in hand, and you know you've developed your board, your opponent has developed answers, sometimes you can very cheaply plop them down and they won't have adequate blockers for it, because again, fearsome, and these can represent a lot of extra burst damage. So Arachnid Horror, same thing, fearsome is really what you're trying to abuse with this list. Cursed Keeper, this is here because it pairs so wonderfully with Caretaker. Mistwraith, obviously we're a Mistwraith list, so Mistwraith. Stalking Shadows. So the reason that this card is so beautiful and such a wonderful addition, and why it's better than Glimpse used to be for this list, is because you can find and select Wraithcaller. So the cards that you're looking to grab traditionally with Stalking Shadows are either Mistwraith or Wraithcaller, because those again ramp up the amount of damage that your Mistwraiths are doing, or something like Cursed Keeper, because you're going to make 2 copies, but also 1 will be ephemeral, so it's basically just a 2-cost 4/3 when you play the ephemeral one. And then this list currently only runs 2 Doom Beasts, but sometimes grabbing a pair of these can really help you finish a game off at the end. So it's such a beautiful card because it's burst speed, but you also get to make the choice and then get 2 copies of it. So it has been beautiful. Unspeakable Horror. So this has been kind of the replacement for many lists for Vile Feast. Vile Feast, I think, still has a place in Legends of Runeterra, and in a more traditional Shadow Isles list, I might consider running it, because you might want to sacrifice that spider. Certainly in spider base lists, you also want spiders, but for the most part, the flexibility of Unspeakable Horror is just slightly better because it's drain 1 from anything, and I think that gets overlooked from time to time. And so yes, you can target the opposing enemy nexus, and I have won games by doing just that. So overall, this just ends up, I think, being better value, and so this is also a new inclusion in the list. Blighted Caretaker helps activate your Kalista, like it's a one-stop shop for activating Kalista if it's your attack round, but also is another form of removal for you in many cases, because you can get rid of pesky elusive units. You can draw away their 3 power blockers. I mean, that's how we just won that game, right? Where yes, they've got things with 3 attack power to stop your fearsome units, but if you can use 1 Blighted Caretaker to draw them away, the rest of your squad might just get through. So this card is still amazing. Doom Beast, new edition. This is just body on burst, and it's drain on top of that, so it can really help you in certain matchups and aggressive mirrors. Skitterer, more fearsome, but this card is still outstanding even though you're not a spider list, because it gives the -1/-0 to enemies this round, and that's very relevant because so many of your units have fearsome, and obviously your Mistwraiths do. So, you know, if they've got a couple of 3 attack power units and you make them 2 attack power units, just like Blighted Caretaker, sometimes this means your entire squad gets through. Kalista, fearsome, and then obviously like the dream is once you have flipped Kalista, if she starts returning a Wraithcaller when she attacks, the allegiance will still trigger because it's a summon effect, and so you can keep piling up Mistwraiths just by attacking with her and having it summon this. One Relentless Pursuit. I think when Jeff posted his on Twitter, I'd have to go back and double check. I think he was running 2 of these, but I don't think he was running Harrowing. I'm currently just running this as a 1 of to catch people off guard. And I also like Harrowing as another finisher for many of the same reasons I talked about before, where if you have any units that summon other units when they come into play, if you play Harrowing on an empty board or a mostly empty board, then you still get to keep the rewards, if you will. So if Harrowing summons Wraithcallers, and then the Wraithcallers from the Harrowing summon Mistwraiths, you get to keep the Mistwraiths because those aren't ephemeral. Similarly, if Harrowing summons a Kalista and you've leveled your Kalista, when the ephemeral one attacks, if she summons a Wraithcaller, which summons a Mistwraith, you get to keep the Mistwraith, and so on and so forth. So overall, I just like this as a nice finisher. It's a nice emergency, like, panic button. And so I run this on the top end. If you wanted to cut this and run 2 Relentless Pursuit, I would be fine with that. If you're running into a lot of direct damage based control lists, again, Ranger's Resolve has been outstanding for me, so that's a consideration, or it could be a 3rd Doom Beast as well. So there is still some flexibility in the list, but for the most part, this is what I've been running, or at least versions of it. It's been very effective. I'm not going to say it's an amazing like tier 1 deck, but if you want something that you can play on the ladder and be consistent, you know, a good solid, you know, 60% win rate plus deck, this has been it for me. And I don't know, I'm enjoying it. So other thing I want to talk about real quick. So Risen Mists was something I kind of glossed over. I was like, oh yeah, we got this new card. So the reason that this card is so relevant is because it's burst speed, which means that you can play this and then still get your open attack. So on attack rounds where you want to catch somebody off guard, if you have banked spell mana and you can get to where on like turn 5, for example, you have 2 Risen Mists and you've got your banked spell mana, you can summon 2 more and still get the open attack before they have the opportunity to play any units in response. And again, because these are fearsome units, and then also because they're Mistwraiths, they buff all the other ones on the board. Even if your turns were like, you know, skip turn 1, turn 2 is a Mistwraith, turn 3 is another 2-drop, and then you bank the spell mana or whatever, and you just kind of keep playing this so that when you hit 5 you can double Risen Mists. It is a huge tempo swing. So don't sleep on this card. When I first saw this, I'll admit I undervalued the power of this being burst speed. All I kept thinking was like, well, it costs twice the cost of a Mistwraith for the exact same thing. So like, why do I care? Yeah, you can use banked spell mana, and sometimes that just goes to waste in a deck like this, but I just didn't see the appeal. But in practice, when you're actually using it, being able to play a unit at burst speed and then still open attack, and specifically one that has fearsome, so they might not have adequate blockers all the way around, it has been very powerful. I wouldn't shock me if at one point this was like 3 cost internally in testing and they had to bump it to 4, because it really does feel that powerful. I've been very impressed with it thus far. Another again, just mentioning thing, you know, there at the end I had talked about how if we had one of these, then we could have also just won instantly with Doom Beast, right? Like, burst speed spells are very relevant with Nightfall effects on top of it, and so if we had Stalking Shadows or Risen Mists, we wouldn't have even needed to take that open attack. We could have just won with our Doom Beast. So anyway, this is Mistwraiths. I'm just kind of like rambling at this point. I've played this list a lot, so I could talk about it a lot, but I had not made a video on it, and I wanted to get it out and share. So here it is. That code will be in the video description like always. If you made it this far and you listen to my rambling, I'm sorry, But thanks for watching, and until next time.